So we are live from Lake Garda. So welcome everyone who's joining from Facebook and YouTube. Really happy on our last session of the day here in the Foiling Week virtual forum sponsored by Gorit and Persico. The last session is going to be with Laura Marimon, who for us needs no introduction. She's kind of part of the family. She's helping us with so many things, including the Summit Challenge that was just live before this. And I will let her introduce herself.
Yeah, thank you, Bruno. Yes, I'm Laura Marimon. I now work at SSPA in Sweden. But as Bruno was saying, I'm also a judge for the technical part in the Summit Challenge. And in SSPA, at the moment, I'm currently working quite a lot in the Ballinius Marine Ocean Bird, which is a car carrier with wings that will be sailing in 2024. And it's the longest sailing ship that will be out there. We already have a 7-meter model out with the KTH. So it's a super interesting project and is touching a lot on the sustainability. We are pushing hard to reduce the emission as far as possible. So it's a very good consortium with SSPA, Ballinius, and KTH. And also I'm been involved in some hydroelasticity and sailing projects with Chalmers University. So in here, I would like to say that I will be co-supervising some master students, especially on sailing. So we'll probably talk about that a bit later on. But yeah, Thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope we have a nice live stream.
Great, thanks a lot for the nice introduction. So now it's joining to us the host actually of this live sessions, Andrew Pindar, who also for us needs no introduction, but he can say a little words about him.
About him?
About himself?
Oh, well, I'm just one of those people who has been around in the world of sailing for many, many years. I'm a very amateurish poor sailor who lives my life vicariously through seeing the great feats of people in the world of sailing. But I'm passionate about sailing because I see it has so many benefits to people around the world and to society. And for me, an importance is diversity in sailing. I'm a champion of female participation in the world of sailing, and very much a supporter of disabled sailing. So, but the sailing, I think, is going through a very exciting period at the moment for me, and then the foiling is very much literally at the cutting edge of that. So I'm just excited to be here, looking at the technologies and the techniques, development, the designs, and the way that the sport appeals to people across the age range, and how we're going to engage with more and more young people to get them to participate within the sport and keep them in the sport. And I'm looking out here today at what's happening with foiling. You know, that's exciting stuff, and that is capable of challenging other sports who may be otherwise tearing people away from the possibility of going sailing.
Great, that's an awesome introduction. Thanks for that, and it's great what you're saying about technology. Actually, Laura is here to talk about the frontiers in foiling research. As she was saying, she's part of Chalmers University and SSPA. And Laura, you were saying that you worked on one cargo ship with wings. Can you give us some insights on that project?
Yes, so I'm working on the research part of it. So we are developing the tools to be able to assess and try and develop these kind of sustainable shipping boats, and whether they can be retrofit to existing boats or building new ones. We are trying to cover kind of all the bases from transports and logistics to I'm more in charge of the aerodynamics part, and we have a very good team working in the aerodynamics. So we have many PhD students also working on the project. And it's, I mean, it does seem a long time, but it's actually super close, 2024, to be actually sailing with a cargo, a car carrier that will bring, you know, cars and machinery around the world with these wings. So I really hope that we will be in time with this project. We certainly are pushing hard. And I know that, for example, the European Union and Sweden are pushing very hard on sustainability and transport. So it's a very cool project to be involved with.
Great. So you talk a lot about research. You said briefly before you're co-supervising some master students. And before we had a little talk, and one interesting point, I know a little bit the word of research in science, is that SSPA, which is an industrial company, is doing like non-profit research to develop this technology alongside, in this case, with Chalmers.
Yes, so SSPA is a commercial company. I'm part of the research group though, and we are non-profit, so we mainly work with European or Swedish research council and projects like that. Obviously, I come from a very sailing-oriented background. I was a sailor all my life, and I did study ship science in Southampton because I really loved sailing and because I really loved math and physics. So also sharing, you know, these mathematics and technology and engineering with younger students, like the SUMATH challenge, for example, is I'm very passionate about that and trying to help you know, even kids to choose subjects like engineering to study. So I've been doing quite a lot of outreach myself, and hopefully we'll see a rise also in these some subjects in Sweden and everywhere in the world. There is a need for engineers and mathematicians and stuff. So.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, we need more of those for sure. Another point, like two little things. I think we could be asking questions to Laura for a long time. Another point that she talked about really briefly, and I would like to know a bit more. I think in Chalmers you did a project where you made an optimist, which is for those not familiar, it's like a small boat for kids out of fully recycled plastic from the ocean. And how did that turn out?
Yes, so SSPA, Chalmers, and in this case, Optimist for Havet is called, which means for the sea in Swedish. It's a very nice project and is in conjunction with the Swedish Federation, basically collecting plastic of the ocean and the shores in Sweden, and then with processing the big plastics and making it in very small bits. It was possible to build, I think we built 5 or 6 optimists, which are now being sailed. Well, last year they've been sailed by sailing schools near Gothenburg. Well, we are at the foiling rig, so Chalmers and SSPA also built a foiling optimist around that time, which was a very cool project, that one too.
Okay, oh, so that opti was made out of recycled plastic?
Not the foiling one,
okay.
But the other normal optimists were, and yeah, they've been used by kids, and it's amazing because they're almost transparent, so it's also a very nice tool to teach kind of sailing, because the kids can see how the water flows around the hull, and how, if they're sat more forward or more back, how their trim impacts the waves that they create. So it's a very nice little boat. Obviously, it's a bit heavier than a normal optimist currently, but I mean, there is the development to increase this kind of project.
Yeah, for sure. It's something, well, we need to start from somewhere. And when we sail anywhere, like even today in Garda, we find small pieces of plastic that usually when it happens to me, I just put inside my wetsuit or my pocket, whatever. But then I put them in the trash, or like recycle bin. It's really nice to see that someone is doing something with that plastic that we found on the shores of or the ocean. So another little point I wanted to ask you is, we do a lot of foiling research. We promote a lot here at the Foiling Week, and most of that research and scientific research is not really easy to find unless we go to forums or like dig in. Now it's more and more available thanks to America's Cup and IMOCA, and most boats are having foils. But there's this new sailing technology journal which you're actually being part now. And can you tell us something about that and how you see the future and how to develop it and maybe promote it here so we can use it as a database?
Yes, so obviously whilst I was doing my PhD and even my master, in academia it's very, very important to publish, and foiling is as a publishing material still very, very new. As you're saying, all the development has been done for American's Cup or for Moth, A-Class. So in the American's Cup, everything is secret, so you can't really publish. Elsewhere, Moth and A-Class, for example, they've been building stuff, breaking sometimes, rebuilding, so it's more of a trial and error. But at university level or academia level, there are very, very smart people, like students and researchers that are developing very good tools, both numerically and experimentally. And so I'm now part of the editorial board for the Journal of Sailing Technology, and I think publishing in there, which is a kind of a new journal, it will have an impact factor soon. And publishing in that journal can help distributing the foiling knowledge, making it more accessible, to the general public, even outside sailing. So we were talking earlier, I was mainly, the journals I could cite were from the aerodynamics, so aeronautics department and stuff like that. But we do have amazing research done on the hydrodynamic side, and it could be also very valuable for example, foiling ferries in the future. So obviously there were many foil ferries before, but they were used to go maximum speed. If we go and be a bit more sustainable, so we just reach foiling speed, for example, with new materials that could be carbon, but also more sustainable, and they're lighter than all the metal that have been used in the past. We could, see many more foiling passenger ferries or pleasure crafts around the world.
That's awesome.
Just one more thing is that, for example, for the SUMOF students, there is a student competition in that journal, and that we will give a prize to the best article published just by students. So if you're a student out there doing the SUMOF or any other cool sailing-related project, you can publish with us, and you're in a chance to win a prize.
Great. Do you have some questions?
No, I'm all ears at the minute. It's just
me too. I could keep asking questions to Laura for a while.
Yeah, I'm fascinated certainly when we're talking about the application of technology, and I don't know if it's a trickle down or is it a trickle up when you go onto big ships. But if you think about the way that we can invent and make use of and harness invention and technology and materials to combat the damage that we do to the environment by by big ships, which currently are a necessity. There's absolute necessity. You can't get away from the fact that without the shipping industry, society would not work today. We have to have that. Equally, we need to, at pace, change the way we go about that shipping and the way we consider how we can carry goods from A to B in a way that is sustainable. So this sort of study you're doing, I think, is absolutely fantastic, Laura. And I think that, like other people of my era, then finding the invention that's coming through from very bright people of Laura's age who are applying their lives and their minds to seeing how we can make that change is fabulous, because those of us in industry and those of us who are in the world of moving boats, that's what I do for a living. We move boats and events around the place. We're conscious of the fact that we are damaging. We're trying to reduce our impacts, and we need to find ways of really reducing our impact, not just playing at the surface of it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, people are becoming a lot more aware lately. And for sure, with this wind propulsion being pushed quite a lot and renewable energy, but wind propulsion especially, we are also developing, helping to develop the new regulations because shipping has always been following kind of a lot of regulation with kind of standard materials, standard thicknesses and stuff like that. So if we are able to improve and use either more sustainable or lighter materials, then for sure we can, reduce this impact of transport, which is the worst, problem at the moment for the environment.
Yeah, and I think that there is a school of thought, or the school of behaviour. Maybe it's not a school of thought, which is that you can somehow salve the conscience and sort of solve the problem by doing something like buying carbon credits, as though that's going to pay off your guilt or the damage you're doing, and clearly that can never be enough. So it's got to be about invention for change.
Yeah, for sure. Like if I'm not mistaken, this wind-powered cargo ship, it's supposed to reduce around 90% of the energy that they're currently consuming with fossil fuels, which is huge. Like when you see the number in the promotion video, maybe Laura can comment on that. But for me, it was quite impactful to see those numbers, and I would really look forward to see this technology and the way SSPA is moving, like making the research open. It's great because it's not just keeping it for them and profit out of the situation, but making it available for the rest of the world to make this move all together.
Yeah. So I think that there is a number of sustainability conferences in shipping happening at the minute. I think that Bernard Chopra from Maxcom has one going on, perhaps even this week in Geneva. But clearly the shipping industry might have been slow to wake up, but I think it certainly seems to be waking up good and proper at the minute, including, I think, from what I'm seeing a little bit is cooperation, that between competitors, they're realizing that they need to collaborate to find a better way forward.
Yes, we are also part of this waterborne project, which basically encompasses most of the marine industry and universities around the world and Europe especially. So I think there is the need to collaborate for sure. There is a need to share the knowledge if we want to have a big impact. And also not only on building ships with wings or renewable energy devices, but also in alternative fuels, for example. So we've seen also here at the following week some electric power boats, or I don't know. There are talks about ammonia to be used as a propulsion system. So there are like new and innovative things happening in the shipping industry, and I think it's a very exciting place to be at the moment.
Do you know who the partners are on that project?
Many in Europe. So it was like a very long list. SSBA is part of it. I know UCL from London, many more universities, and
is that the one that's connected to Boris Herman's Alicia project? I think that CMA, CGM, or whatever it's way around that said it might be involved, and
I think it's at the starting process now, so I'm not entirely sure. But
I'm going to make sure I have a look to see who's on that list. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Sounds like a good group to be part of.
Yeah.
I mean, you're there doing this applying to science and thinking and challenging with your engineering mind. Do you think that the big corporates are really serious, or do you think that they're just trying to get something going to divert attention? Is it a backdoor lobbying technique, or is it serious?
I'm kind of an optimist, so I think there is actually the need to change, and I think most people are now aware of the change that needs to be done. We've seen the ocean race this morning, for example. We've seen the SailGP moving to like kind of trying to reduce their footprint as much as possible. So sporting events, especially in sailing, are doing their bits. There are projects out there trying to tackle sporting events as a whole, like for football stadiums or rugby and stuff like that. So I think for sure people are more aware, and every people I talk to is trying to collect plastic from the sea they're sailing or swimming or rowing into. So I mean, every little helps really, I think. So it's just important that even Greta that talks to the United Nations, for example, there is a change, and certainly young generations want to see that change.
And so you it's good to hear. Was that the worry is that it's tokenism, that people are just sort of nodding to it but not really paying attention. But it sounds as though you feel that we're on that cusp of real change.
Yes, I mean, I felt it. The most I felt it was with this Balenis project, for sure. I think they understood that taking cars around the globe has an impact, and I'm sure they are keeping their promises to be sailing in 2024. Of course, I mean, everyone in this project is working as hard as possible to be able to do that.
And have you personally felt any direct impact of the pandemic impacting on the preparedness to change? Are people holding back, or is it actually proving to be the trigger? I was just thinking that moving cars around the world is well, there are far fewer cars being bought at the minute, and therefore far fewer being made, and therefore fewer being needed to be transported around as people export their cars. Whether the economic downturn of that causes corporations to put a stop to these initiatives, or how are you finding it as an academic in that?
Yeah, well, personally, last year I was still doing my Olympic campaign with Chris, and I took more than 50 planes in 1 year. So personally, this pandemic has certainly changed the way we all moved, and I felt myself that there wasn't the need sometimes to, if you're not supposed to be in one place, you can have your holidays at home or near your house, for example. As an academic, I think that we've seen economically impact that the pandemic has had in Italy, for example. But the projects for academia, they still are going ahead. People have started to work a lot from home, and I think they're trying to tackle as much as possible these problems. And working from home has kind of improved a bit the fact that people are not moving by cars and maybe commuting a bit less. At home, for example, my husband used to go by car, and now he just goes, or by bus, and now he just goes to a bicycle, and he's cycling more than 30 km every day to go to work and come back. So that's certainly a change that hopefully will be for the long term. But yes, in terms of the European projects, I think they will go ahead. So for us, it's not a big problem, but some more commercial projects might be delayed, or the impact of this pandemic on the economy is felt kind of everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Good.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we go, just one point I wanted to ask. This wind powered ship, it's going to be fully powered. By when do we have any idea if they will add some solar panels or some kind of other energy aside from the wind power?
So there will be an engine, diesel engine, because for import operations, one part of the project is looking at the risks associated with what happens in events like in import operation. If things don't work well with the wings, that's a big part of the project. So all these risk assessments and regulations that will come out with these new wind-powered or wind-assisted ships, not only by Linus, but other projects around the world, that will have kind of a positive impact for the future.
Okay, great, thanks for that. So last point, and a little reminder for those students that might be looking or will look after this stream. There's the Sailing Technology Journal competition for the best design. Yeah. So please go there, take a look. It's for the moment, it's a small journal for those who do research on hydrofoils and hydrofoil related stuff. Knows how hard it is to find good information about hydrofoiling, even in really known journals. So this is maybe our opportunity to promote it and to build something together that is really valuable scientifically.
And I think it would be great to say that if people are picking this up at the minute, if they could like, share, and comment,
yes,
and put it out on your. This is going to go out on YouTube. It's out on YouTube, I guess, now. So please do share it, because to make the change, we've got to create a movement, and the only way we'll create a movement is by engaging with as many people as possible. So if you can share, that would be really appreciated.
One more thing is that we'll be co-supervising some master student projects with Chalmers. Some of them are on hydroelasticity of foils, so they're quite cool. So now everything is kind of online, or if you want to apply by Erasmus or something like that, yeah, keep it in mind. And some of them are with mathematics also. So there are quite some exciting projects in sailing that will start soon in Chalmers.
Can we apply?
Yeah, master.
We can try.
Hey, they can't be ageist, can they?
Yeah.
I guess. Okay, so thank you very much, Laura, for doing this live broadcast with us and answering all those great questions.
Thank you very much.
So we are gonna stop the live. Thank you all for watching live. Have a great day.